Welcome back to Director's Choice. Families are complicated, and no two are alike. When considering how different they all are, it's no secret that the many types are often underrepresented in television. While there are many types of families on TV, and they may seem unique in their own ways, more often than not, we see the same types of families over and over again. A mom, a dad, and a couple siblings. But how often does each member of the family come from a broken home, or give a voice to those who may have grown up in a family that's a bit different from the standard model for a prospering TV family based on society standards for what a family is supposed to look like? When it comes to primetime television, you're unlikely to find any families that deviate from the norm, and when it comes to animated shows for the kids, the numbers drop even further. It's a sad fact that every kid of a nuclear family are different, but not every kid is represented in television the way that they would like to be. The bottom line is that families are complicated, and everyone is different. So why wouldn't TV spend as much time as possible trying to reach every different family that they can? Most don't want to take a chance. Other times, the networks simply won't allow them to take the risk on the off chance that they might alienate some viewers. It's an important question, and a statement of purpose for the creators to ask themselves, what is it that I want more? Do I mind alienating a few fans along the way if it means changing the way that a few children who have never felt they are part of a normal family see the world? Are we more concerned about television ratings or making a real impact in the world? Fortunately, some shows get this concept more than others, and they're not afraid to take a chance. They boldly go where most shows will not, in an effort to prove that no matter how different or complicated a family is, they're still your family at the end of the day. Some shows seek to be the beacon for children that maybe feel estranged from the idea of belonging to what society deems as a normal family. Some TV stood up for the idea that no two families are alike, and like the platypus in the animal kingdom, families are a unique relationship, and each one is special in its own way. Phineas and Ferb has always been a show that isn't afraid to showcase the idea that a lot of families are different from each other. And although each one is different, they are all special to us in our own way. It's a show where we meet the characters as a part of a family unit that's missing a biological mom and a biological dad, and we never get to find out who they are. Or so we thought. Just like families, Phineas and Ferb is more complicated than we give it credit for, because it turns out that Heinz Doofenshmirtz is really Phineas's biological father, and it has been right in front of us the whole time. Today, we're going to show you how we know for a fact that Doof and Phineas are father and son. Understanding that Doof is actually Phineas's dad starts with the idea that we never really learn in the show who his dad is, but the creators have been hinting to us the entire time. There is never a hunt for a biological dad, and Doof lives on the fringes for most of the series. It's easy to understand that Doof is Phineas's real dad when you understand how few other possible characters could be his real dad, before we even get down to the similarities between the two characters. And there are a lot of similarities between the two of them. Let's start with how they look. Both Phineas and Doof have the same shaped head. That may seem like a coincidence, but the fact is that they are the only characters in the show with a head shaped like this. The idea for Phineas came first before the show was created as a drawing on a napkin, meaning that Phineas was drawn first and then Doof. Doof could have been any kind of design physically, but the creators deliberately designed him to look similar to Phineas while the show was being created. The two characters also share the same similar proof of hair on the top of their heads, unlike any other characters in the show, indicating that they are indeed biologically linked as father and son. The similarities don't stop with the obvious similar looks of the two characters. The two also share an obvious personality trait that simply cannot be ignored as a sign that they are father and son. They are both inventors and engineers, and not just average inventors. They are both phenomenal engineers and inventors, two of the best in the world, and it shows with the things that they are able to create. One of them chooses to use his inventions to create a better understanding of the world, and the other uses his creations for seemingly evil reasons. But there is no denying the link between the extraordinary ingenuity of Phineas and Doof. It seems near impossible that Doof could be Phineas's dad, given that the families have little to no connection, right? Wrong. In fact, Phineas's mom and Doof have a connection that goes further back than nearly anything else in the show. And this provides our earliest evidence that Doof is Phineas's dad. In Season 2, Episode 19, we learn through a flashback that Doof and Phineas's mom Linda have a complicated dating history that goes all the way back to 1982. During the episode, while Doof has the lovable platypus Perry hostage, he explains to him, "You see, my dating life has been a seemingly endless series of disappointments. It all started at a drive-in movie." During the flashback, we learn that the date he is referring to was with Linda. The date does not seem to go well, and due to Doof's less than appealing attitude, the date ends early. But there's no telling what happened after the date, or much later in their lives. We know that Candace was born 6 years before Phineas, and we can tell, based on her appearance, that she has a different biological father. And now we know that Doof and Linda have a dating history together. It is highly plausible that when Doof and Linda split, Linda met the man who would eventually become Candace's biological father. We also know that Doof has a daughter roughly the same age as Candace, but he is also divorced. By looking at the evidence between Linda and Doof, we can clearly see that when they went through a divorce around the same time, Phineas was born. This means, although things may not have worked out for them at the drive-thru, following the end of both of their marriages, they may have found their way to each other yet again. This is all capped perfectly by the invention that Doof is working on this episode, which is a machine to stop a romance. While it could all be coincidence that these events lined up perfectly in this episode, it seems highly unlikely, and more obvious clues point to Doof being Phineas's dad. There is also the Star Wars episode of Phineas and Ferb, which drops major hints that they are related with the assistance of the Star Wars universe. During the Star Wars episode, Phineas and Candace play characters very similar to Luke and Princess Leia, and Doof plays, you guessed it, none other than Darth Vader, implying of course that he is Phineas's father in a major way by drawing this parallel in a Star Wars style crossover. Of course, with this much information clearly indicating that they are father and son, the obvious question is, what does it all mean? And what new meaning does this bring to the show? Of course, now that we know the truth about this complicated relationship, it changes many of the dynamics in the show. And one of the big differences is their relationship with Perry the Platypus. Perry spends most of his time fighting with Doof because he is a secret agent from OWCA, adopted by Phineas and Ferb, but what we might not have realized before was the true role he played for the agency. Perry is assigned to his specific position to keep Doof from ever getting close to Phineas. The agency understands that if Doof ever got to Phineas and revealed his real identity, he could corrupt him from a young age, and the two of them working together could prove too powerful a force and destroy the world as they know it. The creators of Phineas and Ferb have more or less disavowed the idea that Doof is Phineas's dad, but it's important to look at the reasons that they might have done this when the two of them are so clearly father and son. Despite their insistence that the two are not related, they do this because to do anything otherwise would disrupt the idea that a family needs anything more than a stepmom and stepdad to exist, and a family unit needs a biological parent to be complete. In a show built around a rather unusual family unit, to imply that a biological father is necessary could change the course of the narrative of this small family, and would insinuate the importance of having a biological relative. In a show built of the achievements of an atypical family structure, it is important to remember that even though Doof might be Phineas's biological dad, he will never be a part of his family, and that is important to remember. Every family is different, and Phineas does not need a Doof in his life because he is perfectly happy with what he has. So what exactly does it mean that Doof and Phineas are father and son? It simply means that the two are related, and even though now you can tell that's a cold hard fact, the relationship has little impact on the show other than that. This is because it is not a show about an estranged father hoping to curry the favor of his distant son. It's a show about a new family that is formed and the adventures they go on together. It is a show that teaches all that whatever shape or size our families are, they will always be our families. At its very core, the Phineas and Ferb creators have made the decision to stray from what might be considered normal and created a show for anyone that might have what could be considered an atypical family structure, and the world is a better place for it. Thanks for watching. Take a look at this other recent clip by Director's Choice, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified with our latest videos.